Okay, we're here today with Mr. Matt Sutton-Vermeulen. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, close enough.
Good.
Yeah.
And we're at the NIAA conference, and Matt is with Unison Company and Resource Company, and also has worked very closely with some of the industry organizations on some sustainability issues, and I wanted to talk with you a little bit about that. But first, maybe give us just a little bit of a summary of what you presented to the group today, looking at some consumer issues and some of the trends that we're seeing in the food business in the United States.
Great. Thank you very much, John. John, today we discussed in the Animal Advocacy Forum, we discussed the trends that we've seen and the framework that we're using to look at the supply chain. And some of the trends that we're seeing is that we are seeing shifts in consumer and in influential groups that are affecting the plates of others. Much like plate tectonics for geologists relates to these shifts in the plates and the dramatic effects that they have from an earthquake standpoint, tsunamis, and incredibly traumatic and difficult things that occur from those pressures being released. And that we're designing and working with people that are focused on designing systems that can manage these shifts and the dynamic effects that are occurring on food plates. And these food plate tectonics are associated with pressures that are being exerted because of the evolution of society as they look at environmental issues, sociological issues, and economic issues. And what we've done is we've taken that framework from the triple bottom line and applied it so that when we are talking and engaging with people constructively, we're focused on that triple bottom line as defined many, many years ago. In fact, first conception from 1981. And we're using it to make sure that we're talking about things that are truly environmentally sustainable and socially responsible and economically viable, so that we aren't looking at them through lenses that are inappropriate. Because many times what we're seeing, these pressures are very focused on only one lens. And this triple bottom line piece helps people engage constructively and do things that don't have unintended consequences that are sometimes equally or even more destructive, as if they had done nothing within the systems. So that's a nutshell of what we're seeing. And we're very much focused on taking that triple bottom line focus with the issues and constructively engaging with multiple stakeholders, making sure that we have all elements of the stakeholder groups involved. And that includes groups like NIAA that have tremendous resources associated with the science that is critical, because we're all wanting to be focused on science-based measurable outcomes so that we can focus on getting things done that can lead to measurable outcomes that everybody wants when it comes to the environment, society, as well as economic, and so that we have that balance. And that balance isn't easy, and neither is the multiple stakeholder engagement side of it. It involves with a great deal of sharing values and understanding what's important to each other. And that's the forum that we created for the Global Conference on Sustainable Beef back in November, where we brought 300 different stakeholders from 15 different countries and all the different sectors involved, including production, including processing, the retailers, the food service people, distribution, people involved with science and academia, some government individuals, people involved with finance, and all these critical aspects. We had everybody around these tables looking at these critical issues and discussing what's important to them from their region and their local side of it. And it becomes so personal that we have to have a way for people to feel safe, but for people to be very candid and to help people understand the implications of shifts that are being made for the good, as well as the challenges of the unintended consequences that might come about. That as you know, everybody involved in that conference had to begin with an initial premise that beef production plays a critical role in meeting the growing demand for nutrition across the globe. And that with the growing population, we have to find ways that have that triple bottom line approach to be able to meet the growing demand. And that's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging, but that's why it's so promising to have smart minds, good people thinking about it and taking actions on a local basis that can then send ripple effects just as positively on a global basis.
What's the next step with that initiative?
The next step that we're taking is that we've now evolved that global conference on sustainable beef into the global roundtable on sustainable beef. We're increasing the number of stakeholders. We're welcoming more people under the tent and into leadership responsibilities on the steering committee as well. We're building an advisory board to help us, and we're also building committees with technical working groups to address some of these critical next steps. For example, associated with beef LCA, so that we have tools that we're able to use and that help us make the right decisions for the right reasons, and that we don't misapply them for the wrong reasons. So we're doing that, and a critical part of taking that next step is that we are reaching out to 3 key regions initially, just to get it right the first time, so that we've reached out to North America, South America, and then Australia, New Zealand. And we're asking for people to congregate around this and create their own regional roundtables with our guidelines that they can follow, so that it can build up into the umbrella that we're working with on the global roundtable. We're trying to be, the global roundtable on sustainable beef is focused on being the catalyst for action-oriented people that are focused on creating a global beef system that is economically viable, environmentally sustainable, and socially responsible, and that we're focused on science-based measurable outcomes. It'll be up to the producers and everybody else involved in the system to identify which best practices help them achieve and move that bar, if you would. Because the group does not want to be prescriptive. That's just a totally inappropriate way of managing this kind of an issue and an organization.